James, I hesitate to identify as a fan of any particular show, but if I were to identify as a fan of any particular podcast, it would be Red Scare. Tucker Carlson dropped by, hung out with the girls, or they hung out with him in Maine. Tell us what happened.
So yes, just a quick overview of exactly what Tucker's been up to in the last year, because he is no longer on the screens of Fox. He left that network in April last year, went on to set up the Tucker Carlson network, and his interviews have ranged from anything from the president of Russia, Hungary, Serbia, all the way down to gay crackheads who claim to have sex with Barack Obama. So quite the range there. But he still remains a hugely influential figure on the right. And he featured at this year's Republican National Convention. He was actually seated next to Trump on one night. The level of influence he has cannot be denied. And so when he appears on these various podcasts, it's always worth tuning into what he has to say. So he was on the Red Scare podcast, where he basically sounded incredibly doomerist about the direction of the country. And he did not spare any criticism for Joe Biden. And at the same time, he is clearly quite enamored with other countries, namely Russia.
The main problem, though, isn't either one of those things. It's a leadership class that hates its population. Mm-hmm. That's the problem I have. I mean, I've spent a lot of time abroad, including in monarchies, that are pretty well run, actually, and pretty responsive in general to the needs of the population, believe it or not. And, well, most of history has been the history of monarchies. And, you know, some have been pretty beneficent and pretty popular. And they exist to this day. Putin runs one of them. And he's very popular.
Much of this praise stems from an animosity towards America and its leaders. He's very clear to distinguish between America and the leadership, who he believes hates the people. Now, there's just one more clip I want to play for you from this interview, just to show exactly where the discourse is headed. So he attacked the hyperliberalism of America, which he described as the following.
Can I say gay race communism is like perhaps the greatest contribution the internet has made to my life in the past 5 years. It's like, what is this that we're watching? For a while, I was like, oh, it's neoliberalism. I'm just trying to find a word.
Yeah.
Can't find one. Can't describe it. And gay race communism is just like the perfect distillation. I'm not even sure what it means, but that's what we're watching.
Gay race communism, it is essentially another word for woke. And the idea here is that it aims to redistribute political power, wealth, resources, recognition to identify groups in line with victimhood. And this is all a state-sponsored program.
If you've been listening to Red Scare from the beginning, I think one of the reasons people love the podcast is that you're sort of evolving in real time. A lot of people, I guess, have evolved ideologically in real time over the course of the last several years, and Tucker has. And so that conversation was sort of valuable. It's one of the things that people miss about Red Scare and about Tucker is that they're openly questioning a lot and going in different directions and are like they're bringing open minds to the table. They're open to like having a changed opinion. And that is one of the reasons I thought the conversation was, I don't know, it was interesting. Like, people should be allowed to have those discussions and talk, and I don't agree with all of it, but you know, I think Tucker's more interesting than people give him credit for. Anna and Dasha are super interesting people too. So I guess that's the benefit. Thanks for tuning into the Undercurrents channel. Make sure to subscribe and go to undercurrents.tv, my new favorite website, for even more behind the scenes and premium content. I'll see you back here soon.